shows 6 o'clock, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Delray Oaks City Council. Tonight is Tuesday, April 26th, and it is 6 o'clock. Karen, could you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Shirley.
Here.
Councilmember Donaldson.
Here.
Councilmember Lintel.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gagliotti.
Here.
Mayor Kerr.
Here. Ron, would you do us the honor of starting us with a Pledge of Allegiance?
Well, since you're leading this, Mayor, I would like to refer it back to you.
To me. All right.
Yes.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And we have Reverend Helen in the house. Sir, I turn it over to you. Oops, I think we lost him. So what I'd like to do is move on to public comments, and then we'll do the invocation if he returns. So let's go out to public comment on any matters subject to the jurisdiction of the city and the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council on matters not appearing on the agenda may do so now. The public may comment on any other matter listed on the agenda at the time the matter is being considered. There will be a time limit of no more than 3 minutes for each speaker. No action will be taken on matters brought up under this item, and all comments will be referred to staff. So, Mr. Ragsdale Cronin. You're muted.
Oh, I thought I unmuted. I clicked, but it didn't take. Bill Ragsdale Cronin, Vice Chair, Planning Commission, a newly appointed position for me. I just want to kind of bring it back. It seems like I haven't heard anything about it in months. There was a committee of 1 or 2 people put together to discuss the sale of some of the property to the Parks, Regional Parks District. I believe it's the 17 acres and maybe another little piece over there. And it seems to have died on the vine. It's a valuable piece of real estate, and it could certainly help get the city out of its debt load that it's carrying, that we all talk about every time the budget comes up, how we've got to get rid of this debt. And that seems like it would be a good place to start. So just wanted to throw it out there and see if it could get agendized and brought back to the council at some point so we can talk about it. That's it for me.
Thank you. Karen Harris.
Mayor Kerr, City Council people, I'm excited tonight to announce that Sustainable Delray Oaks was honored with a resolution by the city, by the county supervisors last Tuesday, April the 19th. Supervisor Wendy Root Askew honored us with this resolution, Sustainable Delray Oaks for Earth Day. So we're really happy. Hope that everybody in the community can feel that joy. Our Sustainable Delray Oaks is relatively new as part of this Monterey County Sustainable, MCSA, Monterey Counties for Sustainable, you might a new baby, and communities. So anyway, I'm really excited and we're honored. So thank you very much. And I hope everybody enjoyed their Earth Day.
Thank you, Karen. Scott Waltz.
So I checked in with the city clerk and I believe I can share the screen. So let's see if we can make this work. You can see the image there of the park, yes? Is that showing up okay?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So thank you for having me, Mayor, City Council members, everybody. I just want to call your attention to a community effort where a group of volunteers 2 Sundays ago worked to pull the French broom out of Wark Memorial Park, and that pretty yellow flower, don't let it fool you, that's the French broom. It's a highly invasive weed that's actually poisonous to livestock and also to local insects. Also, it actually changes the pH in the soil to push away other plants and take over. It grows quite fast. And as you can see, the recent haul road that got built through Wark Memorial Park is perfect conditions for the arrival and propagation of this noxious weed. And frankly, it's ruined the view. You can see how high it has grown, and it's pushing into our natural wetland habitat there. And I just want to show you, if I can, this 15-second video of what it takes to remove this weed. This is one of our volunteers with a weed wrench, which is required to get at the root to pull it out by its taproot. And you yank it, it's some good labor. Everybody said it felt really good to get out there and pull weeds, but that's what's required to just pull up one of those French broom. The volunteers worked with Bruce Delgado, and we filled one entire dumpster that Ron kindly arranged for us. Thanks, Ron. What you see there is one of the volunteers when it's only halfway full. We filled it, chopped it down, continued to fill it, and then we created another pile of equal size. The result is really beautiful. This is my last picture. Kind of move this out of the way so that you can see the before and after. But on the left is before with all the French broom there. And the crews worked for 2 hours and cleared it all out, all the way down both sides of the road. So I just think it's really worth mentioning when residents get out and care about their city enough to put in the work and make improvements, in this case, park improvements to Work Memorial Park. I think it's worth noticing that effort. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott, and especially for the pictures. It was a good day.
It was a good day.
Any other public comments? Okay. Did we lose Reverend Hallam again? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. All right.
He logged on, but now he's not here.
I know, he came back, I think, okay. Well, if he comes back, we'll do it again, but other than that, we're going to move on to proclamations. We have quite a bit to proclaim this month, a lot of good stuff. So I'd like to start with the National Public Works Appreciation Week. Before I start, thank you, Ron. I'm glad you're here this evening, and we were talking before the meeting, and every day is Public Works Day. So proclamation, the City of Delray Oaks City Council hereby honoring National Public Works Week, May 15 to 21, 2022. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Delray Oaks. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals such as Ron Fucci and Sherman Lowe, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Delray Oaks to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association / Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Now, therefore, I, Allison Kerr, Mayor of Delray Oaks, do hereby designate the week May 15 through 21, 2022 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works of professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protect our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Delray Oaks to be affixed this 26th day of April 2022. Does any of the council have anything they would like to share? Ms. Lintel, you're muted. There you go.
Okay, I would just like to thank Ron for all he has done for our community. We really appreciate it, Ron, and you deserve all kinds of good credit, and we love you. Thanks so much.
Yay. Ms. Shirley.
Yeah, I just also want to thank Ron. What I love about Ron is that he's just got such a great attitude. Like he just is happy. And, you know, he's so knowledgeable. And so I really appreciate all the work. And so when we, you know, have a weed eradication, he's there with the container and then to clean up our mess afterwards. You're just, you know, your knowledge and your willingness to go the mile for all of us is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, Ron. It's nice to work with you.
Thank you.
Scott, did I see your hand raised? Please.
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Mayor. I see that we've got a volunteer appreciation month is the next proclamation, but I don't know if it's too late to make it a public works month as well. Because anytime I get a chance to talk about Ron in public, I take that opportunity. Just like everybody else here, I think the city as a whole thinks very highly of Ron. He does incredible work. And both him and Sherman. Sherman's also on that proclamation. I can't thank you enough, Ron, for everything that you do. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I know the rest of the city does as well.
Okay. Either of the Johns? No, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So, you know, as the mayor mentioned, you know, this is a daily thing with Public Works, and you know, Public Works has been around since the first group of people got together and decided to live together. They needed to maintain their society, and Public Works was born. So it's critically important. I always like to remind people that Public Works is public safety, because without Public Works, our first responders don't get to us when we need them. And after disasters, Public Works are the first to respond and get things back up. So, but just want to echo what everybody said about Ron. I'm continually impressed every day with what he gets done. It's amazing that he's an army of one. What he gets done for the city of Delray Oaks every day, it's really astounding. He exhausts me watching him. He's already accomplished a day's work before I even get to the office. So keep up the good work, Ron. We really appreciate you. And Sherman, thanks for showing up. We appreciate all your support too.
He is.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. So Karen, did you have anything you would like to add?
I do. I just want to echo what everybody has mentioned about Ron, but I've got to tell you, I've been here almost 18 years. I've never experienced anybody with the work ethic that Ron Fucci has. He makes us a better, happier place. Thank you, Ron.
So I just wanted to add that, yes, we do have a volunteer appreciation month. We will also be having a parks opening celebration coming up sometime in June. And really, that is a celebration of Ron and all the work he does. So we will be celebrating Ron a lot coming up, and it's well due. So thank you, Ron. Thank you, Sherman, for always being there. You've been here a long time. Can you tell us how long, Sherman?
I've been with Neal Engineers 49 years. That's a long time.
And how long have you been working within the city of Delray Oaks?
Well, as city engineer, I took over when Clayton Neal passed away, and that was probably 15 years ago. I'm not really sure. About 15 years ago. Karen, you might know more than I do.
Yeah, we have documents dating back to 2000 with Clayton Neal's signature on it, and then after he passed, you took over.
But anyway, I've been doing work in Delray Oaks for over 40 years for sure.
Well, we hope there's another 40 to come.
Well, I don't think that's going to be happening, but anyhow, thank you. Thank
We'll
you.
we'll take as much as you can give us. How's that? All right, so let's move on to the next proclamation. And this is indeed honoring Volunteer Appreciation Month. So whereas the month of April has been designated nationally as Volunteer Appreciation Month to recognize the hard work, dedication, and passion of volunteers throughout our nation. And whereas communities face vast new challenges now more than ever, and people from all walks of life are needed to come together to use their skills for the betterment of their communities. And whereas self-sacrificing individuals mobilize to help others make a difference in their community, and whereas by volunteering, connections between neighbors and community are strengthened, and we become more understanding and compassionate citizens. And whereas the City of Delray Oaks fosters civic engagement and creative leadership, and where we see the need, we create and rely on new resident-based groups. And whereas the City of Delray Oaks promotes the work of our Planning Commission, Parks and Recreation Committee, Police Advisory Committee, Administrative Hearing Officers, Mayor's Advisory Committee for Arts and Culture, and whereas the City of Delray Oaks honors the many positive contributions of our community groups, such as the Citizens Action Group and Sustainable Delray Oaks. And whereas the City of Delray Oaks recognizes and salutes all of our volunteers for their unwavering services to our community and hold aloft their examples to inspire both young and adults towards volunteerism. Now, therefore, I, Allison Kerr, Mayor of Delray Oaks, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Volunteer Month and call on all citizens of all age to join in and be part of the positive action through volunteer service on this day and throughout the year. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Delray Oaks to be affixed this 26th day of April 22. Any comments? We're all essentially volunteers. But I can move on to the final proclamation, if you don't mind, where we celebrate Arbor Day in 2022. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with a planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and overall beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy. And whereas in cooperation with the city, volunteers planted 80 acorn seedlings for future replanting of oak trees throughout the city. Now, therefore, I, Allison Kerr, Mayor of the City of Delray Oaks, do hereby proclaim April 29, 2022 as Arbor Day in the City of Delray Oaks. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day now and in the future, and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And I urge all citizens to plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Delray Oaks to be affixed this 26th day of April 2022. Any comments on either volunteer and or Arbor Day? Yes, Ms. Lintel. You're muted.
I would like to thank our council member, Scott Donaldson, for promoting and handling all the necessary things to increase the number of oak trees in our community. Scott, you've done a marvelous job, and it still seems to be ongoing, and I thank you very much.
I echo those sentiments exactly. I see little oak trees popping up all over the place. So thank you, Scott, and thank you, Citizens Action Committee, for making that happen. All right, so let's move on to our presentation. We will be hearing from Central Coast Community Energy, an annual member update. And it's with my pleasure to introduce Catherine Stedman. It's all yours.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members and staff. It's really my pleasure to be here this evening. I'm Catherine Stedman. I am the Director of Communications and Outreach for Central Coast Community Energy. And let me just share my screen here. Okay, can everyone see my slides? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to run through a quick presentation. This is an annual presentation that we give to all of our member agencies. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end. But also, if you want to stop me if anything's unclear, I'm happy to do that as well. Let's see here. Okay. So in 2002, the State Assembly passed a bill 117, which established California's community choice aggregation agencies. Central Coast Community Energy is one of 23 community choice aggregation agencies that are currently in California and today serve 11 million customers in the state of California. Community choice aggregation agencies support local governments by helping them to meet their climate action goals, provide residents and businesses with more energy options, ensure local transparency and accountability, and drive economic development. So how does community choice aggregation work? Well, essentially, the Community Choice Aggregation Agency, in your case, Central Coast Community Energy, is a public agency. We go out and procure long-term renewable energy contracts, and we provide that power to local residents and businesses using the existing transmission and distribution lines of the investor-owned utility, in this case, Pacific Gas and Electric. So we are one of 13 community choice aggregation agencies that collaborate with PG&E in this way. Cities and counties join these community choice aggregation agencies to gain more control over their electric needs and provide economic and environmental benefits to their communities. Oops. So here is a slide representation of the 33 member agencies that make up our agency. These are counties and cities. We cover all the way from Santa Cruz down to Santa Barbara County. And we serve more than 400,000 customers. Geographically, we're the largest community choice aggregation agency in California, and our service territory is very diverse. Within each of these communities, we participate in the local business and industry associations, as well as community-based organizations. And I'm also pleased to announce tonight that the city of Atascadero recently voted to also join our agency. So that will be our 34th member agency. Now that they've taken that vote, there will be a process to approve their membership by our board of directors, and we will be enrolling those customers next year. So we are governed by two voting bodies, our policy and operations boards. These boards are made up of city managers, mayors, council members, and other elected officials. The voting seats are determined by population and grouped by region. Member agencies with populations of over 50,000 have a continuous voting seat. Populations under 50,000 are grouped together by region and share a rotating voting seat. So Delray Oaks shares its seat with Sand City, Seaside, and Marina. Currently, Mayor Carbone of Sand City sits on our policy board, and city manager for Sand City, Vibeke Nogard, sits on our operations board. We also have a community advisory council, which is made up of qualified and committed individuals who have very important connections to the diverse communities that we serve. And they serve as an advisory body to the Policy and Operations Board, and also advise our staff on policy recommendations, customer programs, and community engagement. Central Coast Community Energy serves about 94% of all of the eligible customers in our service area. We have a staff of 34 local employees in 2 offices, our main office in Monterey, and now also an office in San Luis Obispo. In 2018, or actually since 2018, we have allocated $27 million through our local energy programs and have provided more than $50 million in customer savings. We've established long-term contracts for new build solar, battery storage, wind, and geothermal energy that have us on a pathway to achieving 100% renewable energy by 2030. We received an A rating from S&P, and we're the first community choice aggregation agency in the state to receive an A credit rating. So our goal is very clear. We want 100% of our energy to come from clean and renewable sources by 2030, and that's 15 years ahead of the state goal. In order to reach this goal, we have entered into agreements for over $1 billion in long-term renewable energy contracts. And the projects that we're currently have contracts with are already equipped to get us to our goal of 60% renewable by 2025. So again, we are well on our pathway to 100% by 2030. So here's a slide showing all of the energy programs that we offer. This is how our agency reinvests into the community through offering these programs that provide direct benefits to our customers. So again, we have already contributed more than $27 million through these programs to the communities that we serve. For this fiscal year, we dedicated 4% of our operating revenue, which equates to $14.1 million. So that is our program's budget for this current fiscal year. Electrify Your Ride, which is probably our most well-known and popular program, has $2.8 million in the budget this year for rebates toward the purchase of all electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles and charging units. We're also supporting all electric affordable housing units. We have a project we invested in that's coming online. There's going to be an opening May 11th in Santa Cruz, and one that we supported through CHISPA also just recently had a ribbon cutting. We've also increased funding for our ag electrification program. That's been an increased budget every year since we started the program, and it's always been fully enrolled. We really want to support our agricultural customers, knowing how important they are to the community. And simply, we want to help them reduce emissions and reach our collective goals for the environment. So here's a little more on Electrify Your Ride. Again, this is rebates for electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, home charges, commercial grade level 2 chargers, and even labor costs that might be involved to upgrade your panel at home if that's needed. Those are also included in the rebates that we provide. Customers who meet our income qualifications can receive double the rebate. So the standard rebate for an electric vehicle is $2,000. If you meet the income requirements, you're eligible for $4,000. And I would also add that used vehicles and leased vehicles are eligible for the rebates. In addition, our rebates are stackable. So we will help you not only take advantage of our rebates, but find out what other funding is available through state and federal programs. And if you put those all together, individuals can get up to $15,000 in rebates for electric vehicles. We also provide $1,000 rebates for e-bikes, which are becoming increasingly popular. And there's an additional $100 if you get your e-bike from a local business. So the city of Delray Oaks, we have 96% enrollment. For you, that's 816 customers. Most of these are residential, but we do also have some non-residential customers in Delray Oaks, which includes business, but also public authority, for example. We have given Electrify Your Ride rebates to residents in Delray Oaks, but I have to say, I think we can do a much better job. I would really like to see more people from Delray Oaks taking advantage of these programs. And I know that the mayor recently told me about a community event where we might be able to come out and help spread the word. So I'll really look forward to that. Finally, I just want to talk a little bit about our local outreach and engagement. So in addition to being available for community events to help get the word out about our service and our programs, we're really making a concerted effort to expand access both to our programs, but also the renewable energy that we provide. We regularly host webinars, public forums, and Facebook Live events in Spanish. And we also conduct a farm worker outreach program, which is done in partnership with local Spanish radio stations. And those are occurring right now, both in Monterey and San Luis Obispo counties. In fact, our next event is coming up Thursday. In addition to this, our Community Advisory Committee has formed a special ad hoc committee to work with staff on creating an outreach plan for underserved communities. My staff has been working hard on that, and we expect to have the final back to the Community Advisory Committee in June. So that's my presentation. I would just encourage everyone who's listening to attend our meetings. All of our decisions are made by the local elected officials that govern our agency, and there's an opportunity to participate in those decisions, where your power comes from, how we're going to set rates, and what energy programs that we want to give to communities. So visit our website, attend our meetings, take part. We really value your input. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity to present.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yes.
There we go. So let's start with the council, see if you have any questions or comment. Vice Mayor Gagliotti.
No, and I'm really excited to see you, Catherine, with 3CE. This is awesome. I was wondering on the rebates. I've taken advantage of two of them. I do have a charger, and I think there's probably a number of people who bought electric cars. They have ultimately get chargers. How far back are you allowed to seek that rebate? Is there a time period?
That's a good question, John. I'm not aware of any limits on how long you can go, but let me actually look into that with our programs team and get back to you.
It'd be great, and I'll be getting an electric bike too. So I'm definitely
Nice.
I've got my hand out.
Great.
John, when I was looking at the rebates originally, it was before we became customers, and they said we had to be customers at that point. So I don't know when you got yours,
Oh, interesting,
but
yeah.
that might be a time limit. So just a forewarning. Ms. Lintel, you're muted.
Muting, and I keep getting muted again. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Catherine, I'd like to thank you for the excellent presentation, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And Catherine, good to see you. And thank you for the presentation. You know, one of the things that we just did was we acknowledged the hard work of our Public Works folks. And one of the questions that I have, I would really like to see our Public Works transition their equipment from gas to electric. I mean, I'm talking mowers, trimmers, blowers, stuff like that. And I saw all the rebates that you have. Is there anything that specifically could be used for equipment like that as we transition?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Something I didn't really talk about tonight is we have a whole program dedicated to our member agencies. So including the city of Delray Oaks, of course. And I know we have had one meeting already with your staff, but we want to continue that conversation. Right now, we have a special program for member agencies, which is the electrification of medium and heavy duty vehicles. But I think the type of equipment that you're talking about, while it may not be included in this year's program, part of the point of having these continuing conversations is so that when we redesign the programs each year, we can make sure that we're really meeting our member agencies' needs. So that's a wonderful comment, and I will definitely bring it forward to the programs teams and our future conversations with city staff.
Right. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Ms. Shirley?
Yes. Hi, Catherine. Thank you for your presentation and for being here. I do have a question. Our residents who have solar, did it change at all for them transitioning from PG&E to 3CE in terms of our true ups or anything like that? What can you speak on those differences that we may expect with 3CE?
Yes, it's a very similar program to PG&E. The net compensation rate that we pay if you are over generating at the end of your true up is actually higher than PG&E. So I think that there's a benefit to being with 3CE if you are a rooftop solar NEM customer. We did transition all of our NEM customers to be on the same true up schedule. So everyone is getting a monthly invoice that tells them how they're doing, if they're over generating or under generating. But the annual true up is now occurring for everyone in December. And that, I think, did cause a little bit of confusion when we first made that change. But it seems to be working well now.
Okay. Yes, that explains it. Thank you. That's great.
And if anyone has more questions about that, I'm happy to connect you with our customer service folks.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So there's a couple of your programs that I would love to see kind of tying to Councilman Donaldson's ideas, is to take advantage of not only the fleet electrification, as well as the reach codes to help us with any upcoming development, in particular the Fort Ord parcel. So I look forward to having us have those conversations and take advantage of the funding that you have. I just had a little question. It's like, so what I heard was we're almost at 60% by 2022 or 2025. And does that include hydro and or nuclear?
No, so the 65% by 2025 would be all solar, battery, geothermal, wind, those renewable projects. We're not there yet. And a big reason is that we are going out and procuring this energy. So we're not just purchasing renewable energy off the market. We're actually investing in projects, so we are guaranteed the supply of energy. So it takes time for these projects to actually be built. And we made a decision, our policy board made a decision last year not to count any attributes when we report our renewable percent. We feel like that is not as transparent as we would like to be. So we're not at the 60% mark yet, but we have the projects in place. As they come online, we will be there by 2025. And then the goal is 100% by 2030.
Do you have 100% program that people can pay a little more for?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. Yes. So it's an option called 3C Prime, and it's a little more expensive, but with that, then you are basically ensuring that the power that is providing your home or business is coming from our 100% renewable sources.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to say thank you, and pretty impressive work that 3CE has been doing since it's come on board. And I am, of course, thrilled that we're a part of and that we have 96% participation. So let's go out to the public. Does anyone have a question or comment? Ms. Harris, you're muted. It's okay.
Hi, Catherine. It's great to see you again. I have a question. I just received this letter in the mail from PG&E regarding the structure that I have for my time of use plan is E6, and it's going to be changing this summer. Does that apply to me now that I'm with the 3CE?
So customers of Central Coast Community Energy are still receiving their bill from Pacific Gas and Electric and in this area. And so you are paying the transmission and distribution rates for Pacific Gas and Electric, and then your generation rates are being paid through Central Coast Community Energy. So if you look on your bill, the portion that deals with your generation charges is essentially replacing Pacific Gas and Electric charges. Thank you.
So just for a point of clarity, Catherine, so does she need to worry about changing or not?
Well, she would, the time of use, I would talk to the PG&E customer service about that portion. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Jim Clark.
There we go.
There you go.
So, first of all, I want to make sure that this is a goal to get to. And I don't want to be any of a buzzkill on this thing, but when I hear people talking about converting gas-powered things to electric, particularly when you talk about weed eaters or hedge trimmers or mowers, I wonder if they've ever really experienced the difference. Because I've had opportunity, and yeah, if you're just pedaling around your house and you got a little, 40-foot yard and stuff, those things work fine. But I can tell you from my experience with a bigger property with, I tried an electric mower my son-in-law got, and as soon as we got into grass that was about 6 inches high, that thing just choked and died. I've got a hedge in my backyard that's probably 12 years old, and we just went to trim it. Took an electric trimmer to it, a battery powered thing, solar energy, woohoo. That thing choked and died. I had to go get a gas power to make my way through it. So while that may be a goal to get to, I'm not sure the technology is there yet to make the revolutions per minute actually cut through this stuff. And Ron, I see, is muted over there someplace. He may have better experience with a different kind of electrical stuff, but at least what I can buy from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever just doesn't cut it. I got 1:24 left. The other thing is just a real quick summation of an article from the Life Cycle Analysis of Lithium-Ion Batteries, published in 2019, the U.S. Department of Energy, emissions from hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles, and Arnold Bloom and Michael C. Hogan, a PhD physicist in 2012, we really need to understand that electric vehicles are the highest polluting of all vehicle types. Those promoting electric cars fail to mention that the electricity itself is generated with a large fraction of fossil fuel combustion. But the bigger problem is that an electric vehicle battery can produce over 17 tons of carbon dioxide in its manufacture. Thus, the electric car must be driven for 9 years before it begins to pay back the carbon needed for its battery production compared to a simple hybrid vehicle. That payback equation does not even consider the carbon costs of mining the lithium and toxic metals of the electric battery, or that there is no available recycling mechanism for the lithium-ion battery used in electric cars. And just this week, Chevrolet said they are not reproducing batteries for their first electric vehicle, which means once the battery dies, those cars just get thrown away. Thanks, just balancing things out.
Thank you, Jim. Any other public comments? All right, I'll bring it back to the council. Any last comments or questions? You see head shakes? Nope. All right. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for the information, and I look forward to seeing you in a year.
Great, thank you.
All right, take good care.
You too.
So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone on the council want to pull any item for discussion? I am seeing no hands. Does anyone of the public want to pull any item off of the consent agenda for discussion? I am seeing none. I just want to mention, I don't want to pull it, but I just want to mention that the updated strategic planning grid is the new one. We had our strategic planning right after our last council meeting. So it's all new. And so nothing has been accomplished yet, but it's the beginning of our 6 months. So on that, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
All second. Karen, could you please do a roll call vote?
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Donaldson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lintel,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gagliardi,
Aye.
Mayor Kerr.
Aye, so the consent agenda passes unanimously. We have no old business this evening, and our new business is about AB 481. It's an urgency ordinance on the military equipment use policy. And shall I turn this over to Chief? Or
Yes,
to
ma'am.
you? Okay,
To the chief. Yeah.
Okay. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor, Council, and John. The item in front of you is the consideration of the adoption of an urgency ordinance to approve a military equipment use policy consistent with the requirements of AB 481. Our recommendation is to adopt an urgency ordinance establishing that policy so that we can comply with the legislative requirements related to what is defined as military equipment in the state of California. So in September on 2021, the Assembly Bill 481 was signed into law. Subsequently, certain requirements of that law, which you received in your packet, go into effect on May 1st. The reason that this is an urgency ordinance is because there was a lot of discussion about definitions and different legal counsels from California police chiefs and different cities and municipalities and districts across the state into how to exactly interpret a lot of the definitions and or requirements of the bill. Here in Monterey County, specifically on the peninsula, the cities on the peninsula worked in tandem through their police chiefs to help craft what we believe is the proper definition for these items that are in the state law. And our ordinance mirrors very closely, if not exactly, with some other cities, except for amounts and different types of equipment that we have. These items and before you, both the ordinance that's required and the policy were being fine-tuned up until today. That's why it's not a typical reading with a first and second reading of an ordinance. It's an urgency one because the inability to have this signed into law by May 1st would impact public safety efforts, and we would not be allowed to use the equipment that we have and that we currently use. I would say that for the city of Delray Oaks, this has absolutely no impact on our operations. For our day-to-day patrol operations will remain the same. And if you look at our listing of military equipment, we actually only have 4 items that we have to list according to the policy. And that would be our ammunition types, our specialty ammunitions that we have, both for our AR-15 rifles and also the 40 millimeter launchers and the non-lethal rounds that those launchers use. We have added more to the list, just like the other peninsula cities, in the interest of going above and beyond for transparency. For instance, the biggest example of that would be the listing of our AR-15 rifles, which by many interpretations through, again, Cal Chiefs legal counsel and in speaking with other municipal attorneys and special district attorneys and councils across the state are considered routinely issued weapons for police officers. So per state law and interpretations of the ordinance, they shouldn't have to be listed. But since we are in a couple of regional task forces, as you will, prevent and coming up with our special response unit, we've all decided that we would put those in our list, in our policy, just in the interest of going above and beyond. Alex, do you have anything else about the urgency ordinance that you need to explain?
Other than it needs to be adopted by 4/5 vote because it is an urgency ordinance.
Other than that, what you'll find in the packet is the staff report, the proposed ordinance, our proposed draft policy, which we would implement and put in Lexipol. And part of that proposed policy, if you look, we have listed the types of items that we believe not only the law requires, but we agreed to do with the other peninsula cities. And it goes through the type, description, quantity, capabilities, their expected lifespan, manufacturer's description, purposed and authorized uses, fiscal impact, legal and procedural rules, required training, and compliance mechanisms. The new law also requires us to come back yearly to give a report on those items that were used under the law, and then to make sure if there are any changes or if we're requesting to purchase new items, and also to make sure that the policy and the ordinance are approved on an annual basis. And I'm more than happy to take any questions.
Great. Thank you for answering the urgency part of it. That was my question. Before I go to the council, does that mean that we're not going to do a second reading?
That would be correct, because this will go into effect on May 1st, the requirement.
Got it. Okay, that's it. Okay. So Vice Mayor Gagliotti. You're muted. We can go to Ms. Lintel if you want. Okay. Ms. Lintel.
I have no questions. I think it sounds like a necessary and a good thing.
Okay. John, there you are.
Yeah, great. Not have any questions. I mean, I read the bill, and I've talked to Chief about this, and so we're supporting it because we're mandated to do so.
Okay, Mr. Donaldson.
Yeah, thank you. Chief, just one question. So on the 16 items, you mentioned that we have 4 of them, but there are only 2 of the items that are in bold, and that would be the X-15s and the 40 millimeter launchers. Is it that the other 2 that you're talking about, is that the 5.56 ammunition for the X-15s and the non-lethals for the 40 millimeters? Is that the 4?
That's correct.
Okay.
2 of those fall under the specialty ammunition.
Okay, I'm tracking. No other question. Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Shirley.
Yeah, I have no questions. Thank you, Chief, for that presentation, and I appreciate the transparency. So I'm in total support. Thank you.
Okay. Chief, I had a question. So it's an annual review. Does that mean the April council meeting, we will always bring this forward for our stamp of approval, and you and or someone else will come and tell us a status.
Yeah, I would prefer we just do it every 12 months. We may, well, let me put it this way. I may look into it because I don't know what the law says, if it's fiscal year or, calendar year, exactly how we have to do that. At the very least, it'll be in April.
Yeah, I just mentioned April because we're starting in May, right?
Yeah.
And there was one typo in the police department policy draft page 1 under military equipment. Oh wait, no, sorry. Yeah, the second paragraph, 4th line. It says process of being returned from to. It's either from or to.
We'll fix that.
Okay. And then who is our operations division commander? Is that Chris?
Yes, he is our operations commander.
And it also mentioned an annual community engagement meeting. Are you envisioning something different than an update to the council?
I would imagine that we would probably do it during the council meeting along with the annual report, just stack them on top of each other as 2 separate things. So the community can ask questions, inquire, and review, and then we would present the report.
Okay, great. I was just trying to figure out if you were going to have to do 2 events every year.
I hope not. I'm hoping one will be fun, will be good.
All right, so I have no further questions. Let's go out to the public. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll come back to the council. So we do need to make a motion. Any last comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept staff's recommendation to adopt the urgency ordinance.
I'll second. Karen, could you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Donaldson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lintel,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gagliotti,
Aye.
Mayor Kerr.
Aye, so it passes. And we're now compliant, right? Good. All right, so let's move on. Staff report, city manager report. Would you like to do that, or was there one in the packet? I don't remember.
There was not one in the packet this
Okay.
month. Yeah, so I just have a few things. So first, it was brought up before the meeting about potential scheduling of when we could come back to in-person meetings or hybrid type meetings. We've been working on technology upgrades necessary to make hybrid meetings a reality for us. And we had a little hiccup with a COVID contraction that put somebody we needed to help with that out for a couple of weeks, but we're back on track. And so stuff is slowly getting installed and all of the software being installed and updated. So we'll be working through that. It's still going to be a few weeks before that's ready for us to even start testing. And we're gonna need to do a few tests just to see if we have if we need all hands on board, if Ron has to be called in to be a cat herder as well as a public works expert to help us get through hybrid meetings, but we'll have all of that ironed out. Best case scenario would be trying something in June. I don't know if we'll be ready to go for a council meeting in June, but I'd like to kind of test this out with some of our committees first. And so we can work out the bugs. So when we get to the big show, we look like we know what we're doing. So stay tuned for that. Also related to that, we're Karen and Lee have been working feverishly to get up to speed on our new agenda management software system and getting that implemented. So next month, right, Karen? You can. Okay, yeah, next month we're going to be running a parallel process. So we'll do it the current way and then the new way. That way, make sure we don't miss anything. But hopefully everybody will start to see some really good improvements in the process and getting things out, especially on the back end with the video. The video will get put up a lot faster and people will have better access to whatever part of the video that they want to watch. Then lastly, we talked about Public Works and Park Project, and there's a lot going on this summer potentially with park projects. The first project is going to be the playground upgrade, the new playground with the big kid swings and a few other things. We'll have 2 bocce courts and some ADA accessibility and new parking lot. That's going to be phased in at this point. The playground equipment. So caveat, we're still living in a COVID world and there's still a little thing called supply chain issues. So we've been told, Ron's been told that we'll get the playground equipment in early May. So first or second week of May. They're still shooting for having it completely installed and ready to play on by the end of May. So we're holding them to that, but we don't know. The playground equipment could show up and there could be no bolts and the bolts could be on a boat in Long Beach. So you just don't know. But so we'll keep you up to date on that, but just for the public watching and for you all to know, that's going to impact things like park rentals and people renting the barbecue equipment, because we don't want kids running around in a construction area. So to be on the safe side, for the west side at least, we haven't been taking any park rentals for the month of May. We'll still need to work out a schedule for the new basketball court and the bocce courts and how that's all going to work. We're talking about that'll June, but maybe July for the new basketball court. That will also impact that'll also impact the scheduling for the our local reporters. So we will we'll work out the scheduling for those months when we have a better handle on when that's going to happen. Again, it'll impact the rental of the barbecue pit. We've already had a couple rentals. We've already issued a few rentals for the month of June, right, Karen? I think one for the first week of June.
We have the 1st of May, somebody's rented it. And then I believe it's the middle of June, they've rented it.
Oh, June. That was a school group, right?
I do believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
we're tracking it.
Yeah, and so we'll, especially the one in June, that's a school group. We don't want to, no pun intended, but throw any wrenches into their works. So we'll work with them on coordinating that and make sure that can happen and keep the projects on track. The parking lot project also, that's been delayed a little bit, but it's on track. And so we're still looking hopefully for June, but maybe July for construction of that. So we'll be giving you all updates in the community. We'll put stuff on the website so people are aware of it. And because that will impact people's ability to get to the park and where they're going to park to utilize the park. Fortunately, it's after the baseball season. So we won't be impacting the baseball league. And then the last thing I have is, as soon as we sign off tonight, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. So just a reminder to you all, I will have my electronic tethers with me. So if emergencies come up, you all can reach me. 8-hour time difference where I'm going. And who knows about cell reception, but I will be as findable as possible. But in the meantime, we have awesome staff. Jeff is going to step in. You all know he's did an awesome job before. So we won't miss a beat. And I'm looking forward to a couple weeks off. So thank you, Mayor.
All right. Well, you deserve a couple of weeks off. So, and the council reports are in the packet as well as the correspondence. So on that, we are adjourned. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, May 24, 2022 at 6 p.m. So on that, bon voyage, and everyone have a wonderful May.